Hi everybody, welcome to the family table. This is our first series of dinners, desserts, and things that bring everybody to the family table. Family table has changed in the last few years. People are busy, they're running around, but the family table is important. Years ago, my family table was 6. Now it's just me and my husband. Sometimes it's at the breakfast bar, sometimes it's in front of the TV watching the news. But it's always about what you've done today or what you're going to do. It's about conversation and the family being together. So whatever your family table is, whether it's the dining room, the breakfast bar in front of the TV, it's important to continue. I would like to welcome you to my home and how we're going to put some meals on the table for your family. Hi everyone, welcome to another edition of the family table. With the weather starting to change out there, I thought it'd be a nice time to do some soup. I'm going to do kale soup. Now I know everybody does kale soup. I think mine's the best, and I'm sure everybody else thinks theirs the best. But this is going to be my recipe for kale soup. We're going to start off with that. Now once I want to tell, I put beef in my kale soup. Some people don't. So what we're going to start off doing is I bought this bone-in chuck steak. I brought a big piece and I cut it all up. So what we're going to do is we're going to start putting it, getting it seared up. I'm going to use this pan. And the reason why I'm going to use this big pan, even though my family has been dwindling, but I do give the kale soup out, it's because of the kale. I use fresh kale, so the kale is going to start off big and bulky. And we want to cook that down. It's like spinach. You start off this much, you end up with this much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some more olive oil. I always keep olive oil by my stove because I use it a lot. So we're going to just put about a tablespoon, maybe a little bit more in the pan. We're going to get this pan on. I would say medium high so we can get the beef cooking. We're going to get that going. I've cut this up earlier. Like I said, I bought a bone-in chuck steak. It was a pretty big piece. You're not trying to get, sirloin or any expensive meat. What you're doing is it's just for the flavor, really, and to add a little bit of extra beef into your kale soup. So I'm going to put this in and get this going. There we go, nice sizzle. Turn that down just a little bit. Just throw that away. So let's get this stirred. And just keep an eye on it. You just want to sear it up because when the soup is boiling, you're just going to cook it off. But right now, we just want to get some of that flavor going. So let's get that. So we'll let that sit there for a minute. The next step is kale. I'm going to tell you, you can use frozen kale if you want. My parents used frozen kale. They used a couple of boxes. Frozen vegetables, there's nothing wrong with frozen vegetables. Matter of fact, frozen vegetables are fresh. They come right up from the farm, right to the processing plant, and they are flashed frozen. So all that nutrients stay in. I did cut up some kales earlier. I bought the kales like this. This is how they come in a nice big bunch. You get it at any grocery store will have them. What I like to do is when I do get them, I shake them out because those grocery stores are always putting water on it. So just give them a little shake. You have to cut off the stems. The stems are very bitter. So you do want to cut off the stems. What I am doing here is you can keep some of the stems, but cut off the big portion of the stems. You don't want stems in your kale soup. And you're going to cut them in, try to cut them in bite-sized pieces. Because you don't want to be using a knife for your kale soup. So you get them, I've already pre-washed everything. You can get these, the kales in bags. They come already bagged up, cut and washed. I would always just rinse them once you get them again. Don't just, because it says it's cut and wash, give them a good rinse once you get them. Okay, we'll just keep letting that go for a little bit longer. Now once your kales are all cut, you got them ready to go. This is, as you can see, why I use a big pan. There's a lot of kale, and I do want kale in my kale soup. The other thing would be potatoes. Now, again, I've cut these earlier so we can get the process going here. About 4 good-sized potatoes. Now, most of the times I do leave my peels on, so I do have to tell you. Most of the times I do leave my peels on. You don't have to take the peels off your potatoes. That's where all the iron and the vitamins are in, is the peels. Sometimes the kids just don't like to look at the peels. If you use red potatoes, that's better, but you can use any potato. Any potato will do. So you cut them. You want to make sure that they're pretty much the same size, because you don't want to have these small pieces of potato and then they end up getting mushy in your soup. So try to cut them the same size. Like I said, I took the peels off these. I'm a paring knife person. I don't use the potato peelers. I like a paring knife. It's nice in my hand, and I think I'm pretty good with it. So if you prefer your potato peeling, by all means, use your potato peeler. If you're a paring knife person, everyone should have a paring knife, if not 2. So now we got the potatoes ready. We got the kales ready. We're going to keep an eye on our beef, stirring away over here. Almost at that point. So what we can do, I can start getting the linguiça and the chorizo. Now, again, and I've said this before, I am not brand loyal to anybody. Usually it's more like, I'm going to use my paring knife. If you like that brand, use it. That's pretty much how it is. So chorizo now comes in different heat levels. Chorizo is spicy. Don't get me wrong, it's always spicy. That's what kind of linguiça sausage it is. It's spicy. They now have extra hot, and they have mild. This is just regular chorizo. Not sure if it's extra hot, didn't say it, and it most certainly did not say mild. I give them a good chunk. I like to have a piece of that. I'm just going to throw it in here with my potatoes. So we cut our chorizo, or chorizo, but everybody knows this is a Portuguese sausage. I think I have time to cut up linguiça. Now we all know it's not kale soup without linguiça. Gotta have your linguiça. Now it all depends on your preference. Do you like a lot of linguiça? Put it all in. If you don't, don't. If you're trying to make this soup a little lighter, you can use turkey linguiça. They even have turkey chorizo. So, you know, whatever you're trying to do. My husband will not let me use the turkey stuff. I think the turkey stuff tastes fine, but and he can pick it out. I don't know how he does it. It looks the same, but he'll know no matter how many times I try to sneak that stuff in. Darn it if he knows. So, if you're going to have it, you might as well just have it, right? So, let me just rinse my hands here. Okay, I just got to grab a rag. Okay, so I think the beef is cooked down enough. It's been there for maybe 5 minutes. Looks good. What we're going to do here is we're going to add the beef broth. Now, 2 cans, usually the cans are about 15.5 ounces, or use one of these boxes. Now, when you put this in, you are going to scrape up the pan a little bit because you want to get all those bits that are sitting at the bottom of the pan because again, that's flavor and you want all the flavor you can get. So we'll get this out of the way. I'm going to give that a good stir. Flat bottom wooden spoon. It will just get all those bits up. Now there is a bone in my meat and I will take it out unless one of the family members would like to chew on it. So that's really up to them. So the kale, this is always a situation. We're going to get all this kale in here. And then once I get all the kale in, I'm just going to add all the ingredients. And then once this boils down, it's just going to be wonderful. Get all this kale in here. And like I said, frozen kale's fine. Don't go driving yourself crazy over kale. Let me just get this out of the way. So we can use the frozen stuff. Now, I'm just going to throw the potatoes in there with the little Lisa. And the cherries. Look at that. This is why I use a big pot. It's getting full. Now, here's the other thing we use. I'm just going to flip this out. I use 2 cans of diced tomatoes. I like the ones that have the garlic and the onion already in it. Again, it just adds flavor and you don't have to be adding garlic or anything else in there. When I do kale soup, pretty much the only thing I do put in there, salt and pepper, and I put Portuguese allspice in it. I recommend the Portuguese allspice highly. It's the only one I use for my kale soup. Does it make a difference? I truly believe it does. So I'm gonna pop these cans. Okay. Just gonna pour them right in. Now, if you are fortunate enough and you have this wonderful thing called a pot filler, then you don't have to keep going back and forth to your sink. If you're not and you're planning on doing your house, your kitchen over, I recommend a pot filler. Who wants to be carrying all those? Yeah, I would have to bring this to the sink and fill it up. So that's the pot filler. Remember, recycle your cans. The next thing is kidney beans. You can use dark kidney beans if you want. I don't use the dark ones. You can, it doesn't matter as long as they're the red kidney beans. The other thing is you do want to drain them and rinse them. So we'll get that into the sink. And you're just rinsing. It's not like you're washing the beans or anything. You just want to rinse that stuff they use to package that they put in the cans. So I'm going to have every big. Beans are great. They're good for you. Again, it's kale soup is really just very good for you. So we're going to put the kale soup, well, I mean the beans in. So there we go. So what we have left now is the Portuguese allspice. They come in a little container like this. Like I said, you can get it at most places. I would suggest you put about maybe 2 tablespoons in. I'm just going to eyeball it because I've been doing this long enough. I really should know how much to put in. You shouldn't use wet hands either when you're doing that. So let me just close this up. Now here's another trick. It's not really a trick, it's not really even a secret. Ketchup. Yes, we put regular ketchup in about a cup of it right into the soup. There we go. Yes, regular ketchup. It does, again, doesn't matter what brand you use. I'm using this because I'm not going to try to get it in that little hole over there. Make a mess. Now after we get everything in the pot, that's pretty much when you're going to decide on how much water. Now I'm thinking a good 4 cups of water because we do want everything to be at least somewhat covered with water, even though we know that the kales are going to go down. So we're going to start with 4 cups, and I'm just going to see how that looks. Could be a little more. 4 cups of water. Yeah, we're going to put 2 more cups. There. Get that out of the way. Let me get a stir for this. Yeah. And then we're going to let it boil down for a little bit. Then we're going to check it out. Once the kales have gone down, you have to give it a stir. Now what I usually always put the bouillons in. So I'm going to put the bouillons in now. Get that done right now. So about 6 bouillon cubes. I'm just going to put it right there on the side. And then once we get this done, we're just going to let it sit and cook down. I like to have soup the next day. So if you're going to plan on having kale soup, pretty much either any kind of really soup anyways, I would suggest you plan it the day before. Who has this much trouble with a bouillon cube? Well, cancel that one. Do it the day before. It'll save you time on the next day, or better yet, do a couple of them. Make a couple of soups. You can freeze it. Everything, you know, you can freeze this kale soup. It's fine frozen. I have a daughter that lives, well, I have one that lives in Boston and one that lives up in Winchester. They want soup. They're not always here. So I will put it in containers and freeze it. And the one that lives in Boston, oh, she's the one that's always never has money for food. She works hard, but yeah, food kind of eludes her. So I try to take care of her. So we get these in. We're going to let that boil down. But in the meantime, while that is boiling, we're going to start another soup. It's a little chilly today. Nice time for soup. So we're going to start another soup. After your soup boils, you do want to give it a good stir anyways, and you do want to taste it. You're always tasting for salt, pepper. I didn't put any in yet. I'm going to wait. So we just want to make sure that everything is good. So I'm just going to move some of this stuff just out of the way here, and we're going to start with our other soup. I am Portuguese. I'm not Italian, but I do like minestrone soup. So what we're going to do here is we're going to make a minestrone soup. And I'm thinking, why not? It's kind of a lousy day outside. I'm going to make it an easy way. Of course, everything, there's always a harder version, I guess, to say. But I'm going to make this easy because we know people you don't have much time on your hands. Everybody's in a rush to do something. But since it's September and we know school started, all the extra curriculum, soccer, whatever, people are going crazy, running around. So how do you get a good meal on your table if you're constantly running around? Well, you try to do this. You try to get things done earlier, get it all set, and then have a couple of meals ready. And like I said, soup, freeze it. Even if you make it and you don't use it that day, just make a bunch of soup and freeze it. So again, we're going to start off with a little bit of olive oil in the pan. This one, just a little bit, just to get the pan coated. we're going to first fry up our hamburger. I put hamburger in my minestrone soup. Some people put beef chunks. I put hamburger. And you can do it, I wouldn't go anything less than an 80% lean. You can go higher by all means, but don't go less than an 80% lean, because then you'll have a lot of fat in your soup, and you don't want that. So we're going to get that right in there. Garbage area. I'm going to remove this. Wash my hands. And let me get another flat. So just keep this going. You want to brown all your beef. Once you get it all set in the all browned up here, I like to put my my spice in right now with the beef that's cooking. So it is a tablespoon of Italian seasoning. Now, if you don't have Italian seasoning, you can use all these: margarine, thyme, sage, oregano, basil, but it's all in here. So I suggest just get the Italian seasoning. You don't have to get a big thing like me, but you know, just everything's in there. You don't have to worry about measuring. So about a tablespoon. I let that cook with the burger, the hamburger. I also put salt and pepper in there with the meat. So again, there is no really measurement on this. Some people don't want to add salt at all, and some people, well, some people have a little too much salt, but I'm not judging. You're going to do what you need to do here. But I put salt and pepper in because it's nice when it's cooking in with the meat. So we're going to get this cooked up. Now, like the kale soup, we do put in kidney beans. So what I do is, I love kidney beans. We put in 1 can of kidney beans and 1 can of cannelloni beans. So we got the beans. I'm going to open them up now so I can get them drained and rinsed. So let me just get these going here while the hamburger's cooking. So this is 1 can of cannelloni and 1 can of kidney beans. And again, use whatever ones you want. This particular one I just happen to get dark, so it's no big deal. To me, as long as it's kidney beans, I'm fine with that. Okay, so we get this going. I'm going to check the hamburger. Almost there. Now the other thing I use is veg oil. I guess you can use any mixed vegetable product you want. You can even use frozen. I use the veg oil. My parents used veg oil. That's probably the one thing I wouldn't steer away from because it's just a thing. I've had it since I was a kid, something that's very familiar to me. They also make it where it's chunkier, but again, do what you would like to do. I particularly use veg oil. So, get this going. Again, we're going to have to drain this. And you know what? I'm just going to drain it right over the beans because it's all going to go in the pot. afterwards anyways. So there we go. We got our veg all. I am going to check my hamburger. It is pretty much there. Just lower that a little bit. I'm going to open up the cans of diced tomatoes. Again, I use the tomatoes that have the garlic and the onions in it because then I don't have to add garlic and onions. So it's all about, you know, doing what you like and getting it done quick. This is a nice can opener, but when you have to open up a lot of cans, it does get to you. I should have one strong arm though. See around the holidays how many cans. There we go. Okay, so I got that ready to go. The hamburger is done. We are going to place that in a nice stock pot here. I'm just going to switch it out. Now, medium-low heat, or medium-high, I'm sorry, tomatoes. Same thing. We are going to run some water in the cans. I like to use the cans for measuring things like this because you're also cleaning it out and you're getting all that nice little bits that's in there. Yeah. Always remember to shut that off. Don't want no accidents. Now, we will take this. So this is cannellini beans, kidney beans, and 2 cans of veg all in the pot. Either 2 cans of beef broth or 1 of these boxes. Now if you wanted to do it with fresh vegetables, again, go ahead. You'll just have to cook it a little bit longer. And you can put the carrots, the potatoes, the celery, whatever that you enjoy for veggies. I'm going to give this a stir. Now this will come to a boil for about 15 minutes. We're going to let this come to a boil. After it comes to a boil, we will be putting in 8 ounces of orzo. It's like an Italian rice. Again, you can get it anywhere. Doesn't matter what brand. So it's called orzo. Usually comes in little bags. But you can pick them up anywhere. But you've got to let that cook down for a while before you add the orzo in. And I'm just going to check the kale soup. Well, it hasn't come to a boil yet, folks, but it will. Now, once it comes to a boil, so let it boil for a good 10 minutes. Let it, and when I mean a boil, I mean a real boil. And then you're going to simmer it, let it simmer for a good 20 minutes. And then you're going to do one of 2 things. You're going to either serve it, or you're going to let it cool down, put it in the fridge, and serve it tomorrow. But by all means, serve it with Portuguese bread or pops, a lot of butter. And now this will be all set. We're not going to wait for it to boil and get everything done, but again, let it come to a boil, let it boil for a good 10 minutes, and then simmer it for 20. Keep an eye on it, and always taste to make sure that the seasonings are right for you. The minestrone soup, you're going to let that boil for a good 15 minutes. Then you're going to let it simmer a little bit with the orzo. So once it comes to a boil, throw the orzo in and give it a good stir because the orzo will sink to the bottom and you don't want to end up burning it. So let it simmer, put it down, and if the orzo really soaks up the broth, just add a little bit of beef broth to it. it'll loosen it up. And again, same thing, always taste my taste is different than anybody else's taste, so always taste your product. So with that said, I am going to get everything out of the way here, and I'm going to show you what these look done. I did make the soup yesterday, so it should be perfect for today. I'm just going to put my Orzo over here because I don't want to forget it. It should be absolutely perfect for today. So let me just get this out of everybody's way and let me show you what it looks like all done up. These recipes will be online. What I do like to do is make sure I go through everything. I like to do it a couple of times, so I've already did it yesterday. So now I'm going to do it again today. So I am going to bring these lovely little soup tureen out. It seems like the only time I'm using them is on the show, but that's okay. So let's put this out. I'm going to just cover it for now, and then we're going to open it all up. I do have, I'm sorry. I'm just going to get my little hand things. Aren't these cute? They're little, they just help you to just pick things up just a little bit. Because to be honest with you, these are a little warm. Look at that. So we have kale soup in this one. And I'll open this all up to show everybody. And here's the best part. All right, the soup is very good too. We are going to get you some Portuguese pops. Look at that. Portuguese pops. Look at that. My goodness gracious. I can just eat these. I just stick like a piece of cheese in it and just eat it. That's just the way it is. And then for our Italian, because, you know, even though I'm not, we have to have Italian bread for our minestrone soup here. Let me just cut this a little bit. Now, look at that. Will you look at that? Now, how about this on your family table on a cold winter's night? Oh, there's nothing better than hot homemade soup. Thank you for joining me in my home. We'll see you again, and enjoy your soup. Thank you.